will you have us prepare for you to eat the Passover?
Go into the city to a certain man and say to him, the teacher says my time is at hand. I will keep the Passover in your house with my disciples.
And the disciples did as Jesus had directed them, and they prepared the Passover. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want.
He makes me lie down in green pastures.
He leads me beside still waters.
He restores my soul
And leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake.
Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies.
You anoint my head with
You
oil.
anoint my head with oil.
You anoint my head with oil.
My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me, shall follow me. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord
When it was evening, he reclined at table with the 12, and as they were eating, he said,
Truly I say to you, one of you will betray me.
And they were all very sorrowful and began to say one after another,
Is it I?
Is it I?
Is it I, Lord?
He who has dipped his hand in the dish with me will betray me. The Son of Man goes as it is written of him. But woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been better for that man if he had not been born.
Judas, who would betray him, answered,
Is it I, Rabbi?
You have said so. I have earnestly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I tell you, I will not eat it until it is fulfilled in the kingdom of God.
And he took bread. And when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to them, saying,
Take, eat. This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me.
And likewise the he had eaten, saying,
Drink of it, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many, for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will not drink again of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. Do this in remembrance of me. Take this and do this. Do this in remembrance of me. Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going back to God, rose from supper. He laid aside his outer garments, and taking a towel, tied it around his waist. He poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with the towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Peter, who said to him,
Lord, did he wash my feet?
What I am doing you do not understand now, but afterward you will understand.
You shall never wash my feet.
If I do not wash you, you have no share with me.
Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head.
The one who is bathed does not need to wash except for his feet, but is completely clean. And you are clean, but not every one of you. For he knew who was to betray him. That was why he said, not all of you are clean.
When he had washed their feet and put on his outer garments and resumed his place, he said to them,
Do you understand what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for so I am. If I then, as your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also are to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example, that you should do just as I have done to you. A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. And if I go prepare a place for you, I will come again. I will take you to myself, that where I am, you may be also. And you know the way to where I am going.
Thomas said to him, Lord, we do not know
Oh, where you're going.
how can we know the way?
I am the way, and the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you have known me, you would have known my Father also. From now on, you do know him, and have seen him. Odecha ki anitani bati Yeshua. I give you thanks for you answered me, and you have saved me. And also Abodin Shaitan Roshpina, as though the builders rejected has become the cornerstone.
And when they had sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Then Jesus said to them,
You will all fall away because of me this night. For it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. But after I am raised up, I will go before you to Galilee.
Though they all fall away because of you, I will never fall away.
Truly I tell you, this very night before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times.
Even if I must die with you, I will not deny you.
And all the disciples said the same.
Then Jesus went with them to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples,
Sit here while I go over there and pray.
and taking with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, he began to be sorrowful, troubled. Then he said to them,
My soul is very sorrowful, even to death. Remain here and watch with me.
and going a little farther, he fell on his face and prayed, saying,
My Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will.
And he came to the disciples and found them sleeping. So he said to Peter,
So could you not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray that you may not enter into temptation. The spirit is indeed willing, but the flesh is weak.
Again, for the 2nd time, he went away and prayed.
My Father, if this cup cannot pass unless I drink it, your will be done.
And again, he came and found them sleeping, for their eyes were heavy. So leaving them again, he went away and prayed for the 3rd time, saying the same words again. And he came to the disciples and said to them,
Sleep, take your rest later on. See, the hour is at hand. The Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand.
Judas, having procured a band of soldiers and some officers from the chief priests and the Pharisees, came there with lanterns and torches and weapons. Now the betrayer had given them a sign, saying,
The one I seize is the man. Lead him away under guard.
And when he came there, he went up to him at once and said,
Rabbi.
and he kissed him. Then Jesus, knowing all that would happen to him, came forward and said,
Whom do you seek?
They answered him.
Jesus of Nazareth.
Jesus said to them.
I am he.
When Jesus said to them, I am he, they all drew back and fell to the ground, so he asked them again,
Whom do you seek?
Jesus of Nazareth!
I told you that I am he, so if you seek me, let these men go.
This was to fulfill the word that he had spoken.
Of those whom you gave me, I've lost not one.
And Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servant and cut off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. So Jesus said to Peter,
Put your sword into its sheath. Shall I not drink of the cup that the Father has given to me? Do you think that I cannot appeal to my Father, and he will at once send me more than 12 legions of angels? But how then should the scriptures be fulfilled? That it must be so.
Then he touched his ear and healed him. At that hour, Jesus said to the crowds,
Have you come out as against a robber, with swords and clubs to capture me? Day after day I sat in the temple teaching, and you did not seize me. But all this has taken place that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled.
And then all the disciples left him and fled.
And the soldiers and their captain and the officers of the Jews arrested Jesus and bound him. And they led him away to the high priest.
And Peter had followed him at a distance, right into the courtyard of the high priest. So when they had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat down together, Peter sat down among them.
And a servant girl, seeing him as he sat in the light and closely looking at him, said, This man was also with him. But he denied it, saying,
Woman, I do not know him.
And a little later someone else saw him and said,
You also are one of them.
Man, I am not.
And after an interval of about an hour, still another insisted, saying,
Certainly he too is one of them, for he is a Galilean.
Man, I do not know what you are talking about.
And immediately as he was still speaking, the rooster crowed. And the Lord turned and looked at Peter. And Peter remembered the saying of the Lord, how he had said to him,
Before the rooster crows today, you will deny me 3 times.
He went out and wept bitterly. Now the chief priests and the whole council were seeking testimony against Jesus to put him to death, but they found none. For many bore false witness against him, but their testimonies did not agree. For some stood up and bore false witness against him, saying,
We heard him say, I will destroy this temple that is made with hands, and in 3 days I will build another, not made with hands.
Yet even about this their testimony did not agree. So the high priest stood up in the midst and asked Jesus,
Have you no answer to make? What is it that these men testify against you?
But he remained silent and gave no answer. Again the high priest asked him,
Are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed?
I am. And you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power and coming with the clouds of heaven.
And the high priest tore his garments and said,
What further witnesses do we need? You have heard his blasphemy. What is your decision?
And they all condemned him as deserving death. And some began to spit on him and to cover his face and to strike him, saying to him,
Prophesy! Who is it that struck you?
And they said many other things against him, blaspheming him. And the guards received him with blows.
When day came, the assembly of the elders of the people gathered together, both chief priests and scribes, and they led him away to their council, and they said,
If you are the Christ, tell us.
If I tell you, you will not believe. And if I ask you, you will not answer. But from now on, the Son of Man will be seated at the right hand of the power of God.
and they all said,
Are you the Son of God then?
You say that I am.
What further testimony do we need? We've heard it ourselves from his own lips.
And they led Jesus from the house of Caiaphas to the governor's headquarters. It was early morning. They themselves did not enter the governor's headquarters so that they would not be defiled but could eat the Passover. So Pilate went outside to them and said,
What accusation do you bring against this man?
If this man were not doing evil, we would not have delivered him up to you.
They began to accuse him, saying,
We found this man misleading our nation and forbidding us to give tribute to Caesar. He's saying that he himself is Christ the King.
Take him yourselves and judge him by your own law.
It is not lawful for us to put anyone to death.
This was to fulfill the word that he had spoken, to show by what kind of death he was going to die. So Pilate entered his headquarters again and called Jesus and said to him,
Are you the king of the Jews?
Do you say this of your own accord, or did others say it to you about me?
Am I a Jew? Your own nation and chief priests have delivered you over to me. What have you done?
My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting, that I may not be delivered over to the Jews.
So you are a king then?
You say that I am a king. For this purpose I was born, and for this purpose I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth listens to my voice.
What is truth?
When he said this, he went back outside to the Jews and told them.
I find no guilt in him.
But they were urgent, saying,
He stirs up the people, teaching throughout all Judea, from Galilee even to this place.
Now at the feast, the governor was accustomed to release to the crowd any one prisoner whom they wanted. And they had at that time a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. So when they had gathered, Pilate said to them,
Whom would you have me release for you, Barabbas or Jesus, who is called Christ?
For he knew that it was out of envy that they had delivered him up. Besides, while he was on the judgment seat, his wife sent word to him,
Have nothing to do with that righteous man. For I have suffered much because of him today in a dream.
So the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowds to release Barabbas and destroy Jesus. The governor again said to them,
Who do you want me to release for you?
Barabbas!
Then Pilate took Jesus and flogged him.
Ah!
He went out again and said to them,
See, I bring him out to you that you may know that I find no guilt in him. Behold the man.
When the chief priests and the officers saw him, they cried out, Crucify him!
Crucify him!
Crucify him!
crucify him yourselves, for I find no guilt in him.
And the Jews answered him,
We have a law, and according to that law, he ought to die, because he has made himself the Son of God.
When Pilate heard this statement, he was even more afraid. He entered his headquarters again and said to Jesus,
Where are you from?
but Jesus gave him no answer, so Pilate said to him,
Have you no answer to make? Do you not know that I have authority to release you and authority to crucify you?
You would have no authority over me at all, unless it had been given you from above. Therefore, he who delivered me over to you has the greater sin.
From then on, Pilate sought to release Jesus, but the Jews cried out,
If you release this man, you are not Caesar's friend. Anyone who makes himself a king opposes Caesar.
When Pilate saw that he was gaining nothing but that a riot was beginning, he took water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying,
I am innocent of this man's blood. See to it yourselves.
and all the people answered,
His blood be on us
and
and on our children.
Then he released for them Barabbas, and having scourged Jesus, delivered him up to be crucified.
Now the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the governor's headquarters, and there they gathered a whole battalion before him. And they stripped him, and they put a scarlet robe on him, and twisting together a crown of thorns, they put it on his head, and put a reed in his right hand. Kneeling before him, they mocked him, saying,
Hail, King of the Jews!
and they spit on him and